Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me here today, joining us all here today. Today, Shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gabriel Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, B'schus l'refuah shalema bekarov Meshalem ben Sarachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atara. Today, we are on page 44 in the Ora Vigdor, for those who are following along. And today, we are going to be talking about the ninth and the final 10th advantage that the Baal Bitachon has over the alchemist. V'hatashi, and the ninth advantage of the Baal Bitachon over the alchemist is as follows. Shebal hakemiya loy silavenu harmisa shaloi ba'achrisai, that the alchemist's skill would not accompany him to his afterlife. The work that he puts in on this world is not going to come with him in Olam HaBa, is what Shaar Habitachon talks about. And he will acquire, and all he will acquire is being secure from poverty and from needing help of people on this world. The only thing that alchemy does for an individual is secures you against one thing, money. That's it. It doesn't give you any other worldly benefit or benefit in Olam HaBa. But, Hashem, in contrast, the one who trusts in Hashem, he will be accompanied with the reward of his Bitachon in this world and in the next world. Rav Av Miller says, so Bitachon is such an achievement that you don't only get rewarded in Olam HaBa, but you also get rewarded in Olam Hazeh. Whereas the alchemist only gets rewarded over here, and that, when this time comes up, he's not left with anything. But when you're a Baal Bitachon, not only do you get the benefits of this world, a physical benefit, but you get the spiritual benefit when you come to Olam HaBa that will last you forever and ever. And it says in the pasuk, that the person who trusts in Hashem, the chesed, the kindness will surround them forever and ever, and that talks about Olam HaBa. And it further says in Tehillim, how abundant is Hashem's goodness that you have hidden it away only for those who trust in Hashem. And that's a hidden reward that we talk about, and that secret place where they're talking about, that's Olam HaBa. That stuff comes with you. The alchemist, he gets money in this world and he leaves it behind. Even people who have an honest living, the money that you make, that you leave over in that bank account, that stays. That doesn't come in with you. That's the ninth advantage. Now the 10th and final advantage that the Baal Bitachon has over the alchemist is Vahasiri, the 10th. Shabal hakemiya im yevada ben yonai. If he were to be known as an alchemist, this person who's the alchemist, if it gets out that people know about it, tiasibas moisoi, that would be the very cause of his death. I know it sounds very similar to some of the other things that we spoke about, but it's specific. It says over here, his cause of his death. Because what he's doing is very counter to how the world works. People work hard, they work honest, they make money, they get through life. The moment someone tries to skirt the system, the moment somebody is cheating the system, Rav Av warns over here that could actually be the cause of his death. The world does things in a natural way, and you have to try to make an honest living. This man is making wealth in a secret way, and therefore he is going to be destroyed as soon as he's discovered. He goes further to say, Umanik hakol yashlit olav, and Hashem, the one who is in charge of everything in the world, will give power over him, misha to those who kill him. That's how strong, he says over here in the 10th advantage, that the alchemist, it's so bad that when he is found out, his death is going to be caused by people who Hashem is going to make sure that they carry out that decree, that he gets killed. And he says over here, if an alchemist is not very cautious, Hashem will cause his secret to leak out, and he will be executed because of that. It's a little bit confusing for me, and I got to look further into this, but what does that mean, that if the alchemist is not very cautious, then Hashem is going to leak it out? Hashem can leak it out regardless, but that's for another time. But the point over here is that this person, his pain and suffering really is that he has to make sure nobody finds out, lest he will be killed. But v'haboteich b'Hashem, kashiyevada b'tchoina, in conscious, when a person trusts in Hashem, then not only that, people are going to have more admiration for this individual. Yigdel be'enei habriyas, he will become greater in the eyes of the people. V'yichabduhu b'nei adam, and the men will honor him. V'yizbarchu b'kirvasa uvri osoi, and they will feel blessed to be close to him and just to be able to see him. That's what it talks about a person who has bitachon. V'yeh goyim l'takonas ira, and he will be considered a cause for his city's welfare. It says over here, people will say about this person who's such a big Baal Bitachon, and he presents that so well, and he really internalizes that, and doesn't just give lip service, that people are going to be so happy to have him around because this person brings bracha and security to their own city. And the pasuk says over there, Kamosha Kasav, it says, V'tzadik yisoid olam, and the tzaddik is the foundation of the world. And he brings over here a point about over Inyan Loit B'tzayah. We know the story about Lot. When they burnt down his city, he ran to Tzoar. What happened in Tzoar? Tzoar got saved even though it was on the list to get burnt. Why? Because Lot was considered a tzaddik. And because he was in that city, he saved that city. Now if you think about it, Lot wasn't this big tzaddik. Well, what's the story with Lot? Lot had schus of Avram Avinu. And that little bit of schus, that little bit of merit is actually what protected this entire city. Now, Rabbi Avigdor Miller finishes off these 10 advantages of Bitachon over the alchemist. And he says something so nice and so that touches every single one of us. He says that these ideas are for us to consider how a person with Bitachon actually is the wealthy man. To understand that when you have Bitachon, and we're talking, this whole idea that we're talking about the alchemist is talking about money. It's strictly money, right? We want to make money. But how true wealth is really the person who has the Bitachon. He goes on to say over here, true wealth is when he puts his trust in Hashem. He knows that Hashem is going to do for him what's right, and therefore this man will live in a certain way that will soon see later on a certain life that's different from the way other people live. And that person therefore is considered a man who has wealth in his own home. A man who, like the alchemist, is creating wealth in secret and hiding in his basement because he's doing it for himself. And that is just like the alchemist, what the alchemist is looking for. He's looking for wealth. This person who has trust in Hashem, that person is really fabricating the true wealth in this world, because that cannot be taken away from him. And Rabbi Avigdor Miller says, before we continue on to the rest of Shaar Habitachon, it says it pays to sum up this matter once again. He says, what are we talking about over here when we're doing this comparison of everybody against this alchemist? He says we're talking about people who live normally and are attempting to do two things. They're attempting to make a living, and at the same time, an honest living, and at the same time they're working hard on building their bitachon, their midah, the habit of having bitachon. Of the two things that you're doing, what do you think is actually going to be the better outcome? The person, Rabbi Avigdor Miller says, who works on his bitachon, his profits over there will be a whole lot more than any money that he's ever going to make in his business. And he says a man can have a business, a man could have a job or a career, and he might make some money that way. But he should know that his real wealth is not what he puts in the bank. It's what he puts in his mind. And this, he says, is not easy when you consider that the Baal Bitachon is working so hard on his livelihood, right? It's the constant struggle that we do every single day. He's exerting himself for his sustenance, and at the same time, this man is working hard to put in his mind all the principles of trust in Hashem that we're going to learn later. And Chovos HaLevavos is telling us that of the two forms of effort that he's doing, both the hishtadlus for making a living and the work that he puts into himself every single day to be a stronger and a better Baal Bitachon, the final success in his life is not going to come from the money. It's going to come from the Bitachon. And not only is that going to be rewarded for him on this world, but it's going to be rewarded for him at the end of time in Olam HaEmes, on the world to come in Olam HaBa. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today, and I love you all.